In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions.
Panther fans unite! My name's Tony Dunn. Cody Lashney, how you doing? CK's in the house. How you doing, my friend? The Stat Daddy.
But I think Derek Brown, hey man, he deserves that dab on him pick.
Dab on him, Phil Snow. Dab on him.
All the same, yeah, 100%. We can just
Mine is going to go to the fullback. I'm going to dump on the Richie guy. Dab on him, Shaq.
I'm going to put the towel on Matt Rule.
Y'all took all the good ones.
Only one postgame roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers postgame show.
We did it. We did it, folks. We survived. Physically, the three of us are alive, and if you're hearing this and you're in the chat, you're alive to witness history. The Panthers, 17 games, hadn't been shut out in 21 seasons, have managed to be shut out 2 weeks in a row. The Carolina Panthers 2023 season, the year of 20C3, is finally over. It's the C3 Panthers post-game show. It's the 17th post-game show of the season. And I don't know if there could be a more fitting end to this season than a 9-0 beatdown by a division rival where a quarterback throws 137 yards, plays fucking horrendously. They don't rush the ball at all. And the Carolina Panthers still get smoked 9-0. You could beat this team with a wooden spoon. You could beat this team with a switch. You could beat this team with Baker Mayfield. Boy, thank Jesus. It is over. Cody Lashney, it's the C3 Panthers post-game show, the 17th one of the season. The Panthers shut out 2 times in a row. They had not been shut out in 21 seasons. Last week, they were shut out, smoked. This week, shut out again.
8 quarters in a row. 8 quarters in a row. The Panthers offense looks lifeless and absolutely dead. And what a perfect metaphor for the 2023 Carolina Panthers football team, which I believe, Tony Dunn, is the most disappointing team in the history of the franchise, far and away. We're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of wrap up this entire season of Panthers football today, man. Ike Ekwonu looks Byron Bell levels of bad, looks Matt Khalil levels of bad. And man, it's just rough all the way around. But Tony, if we're gonna do it one more time, then we're gonna do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's our guy Colby Griffin, Dexter Henderson from across the pond. What's up? Jacob Hall, Illinois Jones, Kristen Ledane. What's up? Michael Granger, Nirvash, Panther Gal, Seth Robinson, Ted Sims, Roosevelt Mongo, Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother, for the final time of the year. Let's roll.
I always just yearn for football all season long. I yearn for it. Yeah, all off season. It's, man, can't wait for football. Can't wait for football. I have not been able to wait for this season to end. CK, I think today's game might solidify that the Carolina Panthers, this 2023 team, is actually the worst team in Panther history. People will want to debate. People will do this, but there are statistics that say it's the worst team in the modern NFL too.
It's going to be hard to argue against that. This
this is a mind-boggling stat. Again, and we continued that trend. We have never led the football game in the fourth quarter at all.
The whole season.
The entire season. We had the zeros on the scoreboard when we kicked our game-winning field goals against the Falcons and the Texans, but we never once was leading a team in the fourth quarter all season long. That's wild. Honestly, I was telling you guys before we even started the show, I don't understand how every part of this team, this offense, can be so bad. Like, it's not just DJ Chark. It's not just Terrace Marshall. It's not just Mingo. It's not just our offensive line. It's not just Bryce Young. Right, it is every part of this is failing, and these are professional players, right? So I just don't this. It has to it feels almost intentional. Like I just have no other explanation. How do you fumble on the 1 yard line like that? How do you then drop a third down pass or a second down pass? Adam Thielen, who will catch everything that comes his way, as evidence on that 4th and 5 that he caught a dot. Right, I don't get it. The TMJ lining up in the position, like, I don't understand. We did enough to win this game today. It was literally as Ron Rivera says, 3 mistakes that were made that prevented us from playing spoiler to the Bucks today. The Bucks looked bad. The Bucks looked horrendous. We dropped 3 interceptions. Like, this is incredibly difficult to have this be the outcome of this game. I don't get what's going on with this team.
There were 2 plays.
This makes no sense.
There were 2 plays where we had would-be touchdowns that were taken away by boneheaded idiocracy from this football team, man. One, rolling out to the sideline, you have Bryce Young hitting a pass to DJ Chark. DJ cuts it up the field and fumbles across the end zone, dude. You literally can't. They called it a
touchdown.
Man.
How about this? This is the best part of this is you're shut out 2 weeks in a row. You have a touchdown right there, and they take it back from you. It was a fumble. And you know what? He was holding the ball like a dummy from the beginning.
That's why Bill Belichick apparently teaches you never reach your arm out when you're crossing the goal line.
I didn't even care about that. Before that, he was one-handed running with it in his right arm, which was the arm closest to the contact. You know what I'm saying? Is like he was like doing it like a kid in the backyard. I don't even care about the stretching out. I do. He was already destined to fumble that ball as soon as he caught it. What's this Terrace Marshall Jr. mistake?
Dude,
I didn't even know he played
a touchdown at the end of the game. We had that when Bryce had gotten fumbled. The play right before that, Blackshear ran it in for a touchdown. It was about to be a 7-9 and or no 7-6, wasn't it? But nonetheless, so he ran it in for a touchdown. Terrace Marshall lined up incorrectly. Like he was
off the line, on the line. I'm not gonna lie. I dozed off and I woke up and the game was gone.
I was listening to it.
What the hell? How's the game over? This might have been the shortest game in Panther history too.
Well, that's because we only ran the ball. Like, here's the thing. I want to make this clear. I mean, if you guys are talking about in the chat, if you're talking about Bryce Young as a whole throughout the season, that's fine. But if anybody in this chat room is trying to say Bryce Young had anything to do with this loss today, you're out of your flipping minds. I'm not saying he was a great quarterback, but you've got to remove the offensive game plan. Removed him from the equation altogether, right? You can't put any of this.
Football.
They ran the ball so many times. This was not anything to do with Bryce Young that we ended up like this. This was all about game plan.
Well, we didn't even have a lot of possessions, to be honest. I mean, yeah, you ran the ball more than you threw it, but you only ran the ball 29 total times, and that's including 2 runs by 27 times, and you threw the ball 18 times. Like, you just didn't have Think about this. Here's the stat for you, CK. This is why it's problematic. The Panthers were 2 for 12 on third down.
You know how many of those they tried to run the ball as opposed to throw the ball?
No, probably a lot.
They were running third downs. They were running the ball in third down in 12. 3rd and 12, they were running the ball. 3rd and 8, they were running the ball. 3rd and 5, they were running the ball. I would guarantee you probably 75% of those third down attempts were running plays.
I believe it. I believe it. It was clearly Frank Reich was holding this offense back.
Oh, hey, there is one good thing, and we have to make sure that we mentioned it. We fucked over the Saints. Yeah, let's go. Woohoo! Fuck
Did the Falcons win today?
No, the Falcons got their ass.
The Falcons, yeah. Oh my God, Ritter looks so bad, dude. He looked so bad today.
Sorry, Saints fan. It's the only thing that we have. It's the only victory that we can take right now. So sorry, we're gonna.
How does that? Just because, but if we would have won today, it would have helped. And the Falcons won, it would have helped them, right? So how does this screw the Saints if we would have just won?
If New Orleans, if we would have beat Tampa and New Orleans won like they did, they would have won the NFC South and had a home playoff.
Okay,
yeah. But and then hold on,
so we played spoiler no matter what.
Yeah. So look, then we get to the second touchdown that was called back, where Blackshear runs for a touchdown, and it ends up getting called back on a BS penalty.
It wasn't BS.
BS. What was he lined up off the line?
It was a
bullshit on our behalf. That was the formation penalty, right? Or that was the whole
formation. No, that was.
Can you blame a guy who hasn't played in 2 years?
You almost wonder if he's
knowing what to do.
Right. You almost wonder if he did it intentionally. Like this was his first game being active. He was a healthy scratch for like 6 or 7 games in a row.
First play, and since he was drafted,
right? So it's can we talk about the fact that the game plan to just only involve Emir Smith Morset once in the offense? Like he only touched the ball once, and that was for a first down on a third down play. That was one of those 2 times that we converted on third down was a pass play to him.
Frank Reich holding this offense back clearly as Thomas Brown's offense put up a whopping 0 points in 2 games against, can we be clear, a Bucs team that was terrible today, right?
Yeah, the Tampa Bay offense could find absolutely no rhythm. And again, I know we're being very hard on the team, obviously. That's what happens when you have 2
would we be? They've been hard on us, dude.
Hey, how about this? JC Horn looked pretty damn good shutting down Mike Evans all day, huh?
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying, dude. You have to take it.
Jonathan Vilma, dude, I almost had to mute the television, dude. I almost had to mute the television as just like not saying shit that was just completely fucking wrong. He's like, oh, I mean, Horn is a great reason this team is a 3rd-ranked defense. I was like, Horn ain't even been on this fucking field. This is the first time he's played. This is the first time he played.
But, dude, he needed this victory. As someone who's been injured so much, he needed to be able to come in today and have a good performance against Mike Evans. And, dude, he did that, man. And I know it doesn't answer any questions about his long-term viability to stay healthy throughout the duration of a season, but you need performances like this to build on, man.
Was he really on Evans the whole time? No.
Most
the first half he was.
We're gonna have to do a film room on this one.
Yeah, not the first half. He wasn't just on. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't play well. What I'm saying is this is like remember. I mean, he wasn't just exclusively on Mike Evans in the first half. So the number's 252-228-5098.
I want to talk about something. Brian Burns just blamed. Okay, Joe Person put a tweet up. And it reads this: Brian Burns said all the injuries on the defensive side early in the season impacted him, especially after his contract talks stalled. Dealing with that, I was dealing with what I was dealing with in camp. I was terrified to get hurt. So is he saying that he stopped playing with a intensity because he was afraid he was going to get injured?
What is that? I mean,
it just doesn't look good.
Because he didn't get his contract. If he gets hurt,
I know, but
he's
like,
toast.
Was he playing?
Should have signed a fucking deal, dude.
Was he playing with like a mental, like a mental thought? Like he wasn't really in the games to actually try to perform. He was in the games just not to
playing scared.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's saying he didn't play like that affected him.
Maybe once he realized this team wasn't good, he stopped putting the effort in.
Excuses, man. I don't want to hear it. If you were going to go out there and play this season knowing that you didn't sign the money they were offering you, then it's on you to shut them down, to show them the type of player that you are. If you're afraid to get hurt, then you shouldn't even be out there playing.
I think that
is real. That's dude.
No, we need to see I think we need to see the context of that. But I think what he's saying is that once it was clear that they weren't reaching a deal, that he had the lingering fear of injury ruining any potential for the future, like that weighed on him, which he then thinks that probably had an effect on his performance overall. I don't think it was like, I'm on the field, I'm terrified to get hurt, so I'm not playing hard.
Hey,
I think the way he's saying that is he just does it like that was some sort of mental cloud that was in his, which is true, which is why you want to sign these deals early on. And to be honest, your ass should have found a way at that moment. Maybe you didn't budge enough with the Carolina Panthers, right? You should have gotten that deal done because you are. Nobody even pays attention to even thinking about you anymore.
Yeah, and listen, to DJ the kid says, don't blame him. When he gets hurt, then what, Cody? Well, listen, he obviously feels that he's worth more than what the Carolina Panthers were offering him. So then if you disagree with them, you have to show prove every single play that you're worth the dollar amount that you're asking for. Right. If you taking plays off and shit, and just because you're afraid to get hurt, you're not going full bore, well, then that's on you. What other team is going to want to pay you for you just giving the most piss poor effort imaginable? Like, you're supposed to be a top tier pass rusher in the NFL, and you're taking games off. To me, that sounds dumb.
All right. So I not to switch gears so quickly, but I just think this is absolutely hysterical. Check the Four Horsemen and pull that up for the show. After the beatdown that the Falcons just got from the Saints, this is the interaction between Dennis Allen and Arthur Smith as they're walking to shake hands on the field after the Saints just didn't like they didn't just lay down, like they didn't just. He's like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, oh man.
What the fuck is he mad about?
I don't know what happened.
The Saints clearly won the game, but they just kept on adding points onto the board. Like just kept on going.
Oh, he says this. I could hear it. Hold on. I could hear it. Hold on.
Shit. What happened?
He's watching to see if he can.
And Dennis Allen, he says it's effing bullshit, and Dennis Allen says, "I understand that." That's what his words were, and then he walked away.
Yeah, but dude, fuck the Falcons. That's some crybaby bullshit. If you don't want him to put up 41 points, don't let him put up 41 points. Come on, dude.
Yeah, dude, it was wild.
All right, let's hit these super chats up, and then we're gonna get. And we need to get to some calls. I'm sure the fans have plenty to say about this.
For sure. Near Voss with the $5 love bomb says, I don't want to retain anyone in the staff or scouting department. Everyone needs to be fired tomorrow.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Roosevelt Mongo with $2 says, no more hyping up the Panthers. It's show me now. Our boy White Chocolate Espresso says, if Caleb Williams is half the hype, shake my head. And then Mr. Elevation with the $5. I'm glad this season is over. Sign Brown and get rid of the other garbage that makes this team stink. A lot of anger in the chat, man.
It's so bad that I'm like in a fog.
Yeah.
It's so bad that I almost don't realize how bad it is. Right. If you think about this, is like, I mean, just because I guess we've been just slogging through this, like we've just been walking through. We're Andy Dufresne. Do you guys remember Shawshank? You seen Shawshank Redemption, the movie where he breaks out and he's got to crawl through a mile of shit? Right. I mean, he has to literally crawl out of a tunnel of shit.
Yeah.
We have been crawling in shit so long, it stopped stinking. Right.
Well,
it's just shit. Like it's just been shit for so long.
And I feel like we just found out the tunnel's even longer.
Yeah. I lift my head up and I look around and out at or you walk out, you get out of the tunnel and you're covered in shit and you didn't realize how shitty it was for so long. People are looking at you like, why you got so much shit on you, dude? Right. Is that the rest of the league? I don't know if I didn't realize how bad it was as it was happening. Just like I didn't know how magical 2015 was when it was actually happening. This right now, we have been in a fog all season long. The whole league has to be looking at us as the worst team they've ever fucking seen. You know, I mean,
we're in contention for one of the worst teams ever. I mean, we're not. It wasn't, an entire season without a victory. But dude, when you look at this offense and just how putrid we were from every single standpoint, from the offensive line position, which dude, we'd have to have more conversations about that, dude. Ike Ekwonu, what is our future at left tackle? But the wide receivers, there was no help for Bryce for the majority of the season. And then when there were plays for Bryce to make, for the large part, he missed them. And that's the simple and God's honest truth. And if you were someone that came into this year not believing that Bryce was your future, you probably didn't see a lot in this rookie season to make you excited for next year. Now, if you're a diehard believer that Bryce can turn it around, well, then you're hoping for a lot of things to go right in this offseason. And I do want to warn everyone, we have a very long road ahead.
Yeah.
Very, very, very long road ahead.
Just got into the tunnel of shit. Right? It's like you said, it's like the tunnel's way longer than we expect.
We've been in there for 5 miles and realized we have like 10 more to go. It's just brutal, man.
Oh my gosh. Or it's like Columbus. When Columbus left and he was trying to sail around the planet, he didn't realize, he thought the planet was 2/3 smaller than it was.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're out in the middle of the ocean, you're like, fuck, we ain't got no water left. This is way bigger than I expected.
Dude, shout out to Rockhead81. Says I eat from Prize Picks, so y'all eat from Prize Picks. Thanks for always being here for us. C3. We appreciate you, Rockhead.
Thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Give us a call. Tell us what you think about this team, this season, this game. We're here together, folks. We're locking arms. It's over. It's over. We did it. Cody, let's take some calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
C3, this is real. Fort Bragg, out here in Atlanta, I got on my out here DoorDash and got on my Panthers hoodie as per usual.
What's up, bro?
I just want to, first and foremost, let me just say that the Panthers defense is doing the damn thing. Tampa's doing their thing too, but shout out to the defense. Panthers, y'all doing your thing. Hopefully we have something to look forward to come next season. In this off season, we definitely gotta get the staff right, get the quarterback confident.
Yeah.
Get a little more confident. You know, he's doing a lot better than he has been earlier this year, so that's good to see. Get some receivers, get that O-line right.
Please.
And we should get more than 2 wins next year. It kind of sucks because I do got a lot of people on my prize picks from Tampa. So, but you know, shout out to defense, Carolina. Tampa Bay just kicked another field goal, so it's 9-0. I wish we would have got that touchdown. I'm not gonna lie, but it is what it is. Keep pounding, Panthers. Keep doing y'all thing. But I still want my money for this prize pick. So let Mike Evans get a touchdown and and I'll be good. Appreciate it. All right, y'all. Keep pounding, baby. C3.
Keep pounding. Great call, Rel.
Here, they want some more and probably not happy because no touchdown.
Man.
Difficult.
Thank God this season's going to be over in the next 5 minutes. Fucking.
That's how the Taylor.
Turnstile. Get him the fuck out of here. He's so fucking
Yes, we have
I don't
to
know
talk
if he
about
needs
it.
to guard. He needs to be on a fucking bench or cut. That's where the fuck he needs to be at. He needs to be on the fucking streets. Then Bryce Young. He just don't got the arm strength, bro. He just don't got the physical tools to be a viable quarterback. He can be a backup. He could be a backup for us, but he don't got the viable tools to be a starter, bro. Not a starter. The defense is good. The defense is legit. I think we should kind of run it back with the defense. Get a quarterback, at least somebody with a strong arm that challenge Bryce Young, somebody strong arm and competent, or go get a fucking veteran. It's crazy, man. And Icky gotta fucking go. He sucks. He's so fucking sorry, dude. He's so fucking sorry, bro. He can't pass protect for shit.
So bad, dude.
Chuba can stay. We don't need to draft a fucking running back. We got Chuba. He can stay.
Yeah, Chuba's the homie.
Later, man. You know who it is.
I appreciate you, man. Look, so two things. I love how we do this thing at the end of every year where, dude, the defense was kind of okay. Hey, let's run it back with the defense. We just need to build upon the defense, even though there's performances every year where we're just getting gashed open easily. But then let's have that conversation, y'all. What is the future at left tackle for the Carolina Panthers? Because I'm sorry, at this point, you can't convince me that it's Ike Ekwonu. And listen, if you've been a follower of C3 for a long time, you know my opinion. You know that I've been wanting to move him to left guard since he was drafted.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way forward, so that way you're not just labeling him a bust, and maybe you can get something out of him. The question is, if you do move him to left guard, well, then what do you do at left tackle? I'm a big believer in Brady Christensen, but now he's only on 1 more year of his deal. Are you really going to have your left tackle be Brady Christensen on a 1-year deal? Maybe, but that's a pretty big bet. Are you going to draft another left tackle? What are you drafting at number 33 now? A wide receiver or a left tackle? Because it seems as though left tackle might be the most important position on this team right now that just is crippling this football team. So I don't know what to do if the answer isn't move him to left guard, because then you're hoping that you find a franchise left tackle in the 2nd round. What are the chances of that happening?
I don't even know anymore. Honestly, the only thing I'm focusing on is whether or not Scott Fitterer is gone tomorrow. I just got to take victories where we can get him. And if he's not, if what do they call it? Is it Black Monday they call this?
Yeah.
Where the Monday after the season's over, you start to see all the firings and whatnot. If Fitterer survives tomorrow, I will be incredibly surprised. And that's my main take right now. I don't know what we do, but I feel like having our GM picked out, once we get a new GM, I think we'll have a better idea of what they're planning on doing.
you can't draft a left tackle, right? I mean, you can. You needed to. We needed to when we drafted Aquanu.
Yeah,
he didn't work, or he's not working. The answer to your
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Just because breastfeeding is natural doesn't mean it's easy. But you don't have to do it alone. That's where the Lactation Network comes in. The Lactation Network helps parents at every stage of the breastfeeding journey. Whether you need support resolving feeding issues, choosing the right breast pump, creating a plan for weaning, or anything in between. The Lactation Network is the largest network of licensed breastfeeding experts in the country. They provide in-home, in-office, and telehealth consultations in all 50 states with no out-of-pocket cost. Get the breastfeeding care you deserve with the Lactation Network. Visit tln.care/podcast to schedule your own insurance-covered lactation consultation today.
Question is this. You got to move him. You cannot go into next season just saying this is that he's going to improve. We need him to improve at left tackle. Right. That would be malpractice, right? And it's understandable how they did it this year. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to bring in, you got to go into free agency this year, and you got to spend almost every penny on offensive linemen. And you might find yourself with some duplication of talent in some cases, whether it be Brady Christensen coming back or something like this. But you're going to have to go out and get a capable starting left tackle in free agency, a veteran, one guy who has time. Like, you just need to pay up
to find those, huh?
Well, you're going to have to go and get one, just like a lot of teams go out there, and you're just going to have to pay for it. Then you're going to have to let Icky compete maybe a little, right? To continue to see if you think he can develop as maybe a tackle, a swing tackle. You're going to have to move him to guard in the meantime, and you're going to have to draft. You're going to have to go into free agency, and you need to get 2 starting linemen, and you need to have both Brady Christensen come back and be competing for a position. You need Icky to be competing for the interior. The entire offseason needs to be dedicated to building the wall. And when I say building the wall, we need to build 2 walls. We need to build the first wall of starters, and then we need to have a wall of starters behind starters, because they're all going to suck or get hurt in the meantime.
And remember, we were all saying this is the one benefit to having an undersized quarterback. Is because it's like, duh, stupid. You need to have the best offensive line available for him the entire year round.
How many times did he get sacked this year?
62.
62 times.
He tied our franchise record for most sacks.
It's crazy is David Carr was sacked 72 times in 16 games when he set the record. But Bryce is, to be honest, it's crazy that Bryce is alive. And look, is CJ Stroud and them just made the playoffs?
Yeah, dude, the Houston Texans put on a masterclass and embarrassed the Panthers desperately in 1 year. Not only did they fleece us for a trade up, but they took the surefire offensive rookie of the year, in my opinion. And the Houston Texans are now in the playoffs, and their head coach is probably one of the leading candidates for coach of the year. Yeah, the Texans did an absolutely fantastic job. But Tony, before we move off of that left tackle discussion, to make my point of how many holes we have right now. So you might want to draft a left tackle at 33, but we already know that the Panthers are going to need one free agent wide receiver. We already know they're going to need one, at least in the draft, but also consider Adam Thielen is now clarifying that, yeah, he really wants out.
You know, the video is making the rounds. You said that the plans changed. Obviously, with Frank being let go, this season has not mapped out to what you thought it would be. How can you share how that plan has changed and what that means? I know it's super early.
Yeah.
Whistle just blew, game just ended, but what was that plan and what was the vision for you like coming into here, and what does this mean for Adam Thielen beyond the season?
Yeah, well, now that the season's over, I can kind of elaborate a little bit on it, but I think initially the plan is, and this is life, but the plan was come here, make a difference, have a chance at, making the playoffs, win the division, and then, building off that with the rookie quarterback and going into year two with, hopefully the same staff and everybody together that, building off a division title or playoff berth this year, and then hopefully running a Super Bowl. I don't have a whole lot of years left, so having an opportunity at Super Bowl was kind of my vision. So when I said, plans have changed, well, we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't even have a chance at the playoffs. So that vision is a little different. Now, with that being said, I'm super excited about what the future holds. Obviously there's a lot of things that got to play out. But I believe in this locker room. There's a lot of guys that can play this game at a high level. And I'm excited that with the right people, the right leadership and the right people in this building, it can be still a special group. So obviously there's a lot of things that are going to take place in the next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. And, I'm not guaranteed to be here. I'm just going to control and see what happens. But
hey, this is a good answer.
The future looks like in this locker room, but
I just feel like it's wild to say, like, after you sign a 3-year contract, you're basically saying I'm probably not going to be here. Which is just it's just funny to me, man.
I don't know. I still don't get that. Like he's leaving it. He's not saying he wants to leave with that statement. Like that's not what he's even his original
that's
statement.
100%.
No, Cody. Saying. That is not what
he's saying. There's no Super Bowl window here right now. He wants to go to a contender.
Right, but my point being is that when he's asked that, there is no player on the planet that's going to say, I don't want to be here anymore publicly to the media, right? And actually have an opportunity to go to another organization. That's not what he's saying. His original statement,
so many words.
His original statement wasn't even a matter of him saying that I don't want to be here. He said plans have changed because of the fact that they were in a losing season. Like, obviously,
and that they weren't building really towards a future momentum, and Frank Reich and the staff are gone, and now it's a complete rebuild. Right? Is they were building, like laying some sort of foundation, he thought, and then it turns out that they didn't get their permits correct by the county, and they had to come and knock it all down. So yeah I think Cody, I don't think he's saying. Look, I think he is implying that he didn't sign up for this.
Right.
Yeah, but
okay, that was a nice cordial. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. He kept all of this, but he's just saying too is that this is the type of team that might not need me either. Right? And if you could get a 5th round pick for Adam Thielen, you might just do it. And I'm sorry, you said go into free agency and get receivers. No. I think that the time for Carolina there's too many holes to address in one offseason. So I think you're going to just have to get an offensive line, and you're going to have to deal with some mediocre receivers, that whatever, some kind of trash heap receivers off of in free agency.
Everyone's going to be calling for Bryce Young's head. Because if he doesn't have the wide receivers,
he has time. If he has time, then you can make mediocre receivers play a little bit better than mediocre. You might not go out there and put together one of the most explosive offenses in the world, but if you have time, protection, you could take even a receiver group like this and make them better.
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah, you can. You can with time. Yes, you can.
And then if you're going to take Adam Thielen away from this room and then not do anything in the draft and free agency, you're dead on arrival. Then you have your quarterback going into your second year with more people on the train that we drafted the wrong quarterback. If you have any hope of salvaging Bryce Young, you have to give him some type of weapon, Tone. You have to. There's no other option. There are no other weapons on the scene. And if
it doesn't matter if you have weapons if you're getting sacked 62 times.
All right, but if your best receiver in Adam Thielen, a 33-year-old Adam Thielen, is telling you, and I'm sorry, okay, we have to disagree. He is telling you that he's out the door next year because plans have changed. You are going to have to replace him with someone. There's no question about it, whether it comes through the draft or through free agency, and you're probably going to have to use both of them. You have no choice.
I think the move for receivers is 2 years down the road. I think that I think you're talking about having a team of Philly Browns and Britton Bursons next year and just hoping that you can find a way to build an offensive line that gives you a moment to at least evaluate if Bryce Young can be the future, because then you can say with Young having time, was he able to elevate average players? And if he's able to do that, then you say in year 3, we go get him weapons. If he's not able to do that in year 2, you're probably looking to be picking in the top end of the draft in 2025, right?
Right.
And then you're starting to go, well, man, maybe we need to go and get a quarterback in this process. A lot of people right here in the chat are already talking about how it's clear 100% Carolina Panthers selected the wrong quarterback. Let's read this super chats out and then take some more calls.
Let's do it. Matthew Brown with the $9.99 love bomb says, should we really be surprised at this point in the Tepper era? The team is the biggest joke in the league. If Ben Johnson values his career, he's not coming here. The money is not worth it. That's how a lot of people feel. And that's the era that you're going to have to overcome, is that nobody wants to be a part of this organization and their dumpster fire ways with an owner that's going to butt in on everything. And, dude, I'll say this now. You will never get me to believe that Bryce Young was Frank Reich's preferred quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm not personally believing it.
Well, like I said, that's the only issue I have with that argument is it's like you can have that opinion, but nobody will ever really know. Right. So you can't even really argue against it.
But it's the same thing, okay? Well, I don't need someone to verbatim say these exact words to me in order for me to read between the lines as to what they're saying. Dude,
Frank never even said anything.
But, dude, when you look at this offense and how it was built and how we barely ever used Bryce in the RPO type of system that you use at Alabama, and then say that this offense was built for Bryce, that just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense at all to me, man. Eric with the $5
offense wasn't built for anything. I don't know if you know it, and let's not even look. Frank Reich holding this offense back, bro. This team hasn't scored a point in 8 quarters with old Thomas Brown, the fucking whiz kid, who has 16 weeks, and he goes, "Oh, maybe I should give Icky some help on the left side." Did he even give him any help today?
Well, clearly not.
If he didn't, it was the worst help ever.
All right, Eric.
Eric with the $5 says Bryce needed an upgraded O-line before upgraded receivers.
I'm with him.
Which is what Tony was saying.
I'm saying is you're going to have to sign somebody in free agency. I know that's the case, but I don't think you go out and you sign big money. I think you remember when we brought in Jericho Cotchery?
Right.
Remember when we brought in Jason Avant, slow ass, whatever. I mean, Adam Thielen. Like, is the whole thing is it doesn't matter if you have great receivers, if Bryce can't play with confidence, if he can't survive. And so really is that it's not, and you're not going to be able to do both. I'm sorry. You're just not going to be able to do both. And look, going through the draft also just takes time. It takes time. So you can't be like, oh, well, we're going to go into free agency and we're going to get this, and then we're going to get a contributor in the second round and this, and they're going to play. No, those are a player that comes in the draft and makes immediate super impact is more rare than it is often. Right. And so, yes, that could happen. You could get maybe a Josh Downs or somebody who does provide some added component to the team, but that's about all you're going to get.
But here's my like, when I was getting so irritated watching the Texans last night, not irritated, but like the amount of time that CJ Stroud had in the pocket, like even when he was hurried, he didn't have anybody within 5 feet of him. Like he was great. He had a lot of time. And so when you realize that, and that could be a potential reason why you see wide receivers being elevated by CJ Stroud, it's because CJ Stroud has been elevated by his offensive line. So I agree with you, Tony, but I also don't agree with the fact that we shouldn't be building for wide receivers. I'm sitting here watching the Rams with Puka Nacua, who just broke the rookie record for most receiving yards in an NFL season. The dude wasn't a first-round draft pick, right? I think that the potential to get a guy who can be impactful is still well available to you in the later rounds, especially when you realize that a lot of these big-time wide receivers that we're seeing performing very well in the NFL were not top 10 wide receivers. They weren't first-round wide receivers for that matter. But that's going
to be your hope, because going and getting T. Higgins is going to cost too much money, and you're not going to be able to do the things to the rest of the team that you need to do, right? And so that's where it is how you can't buy everything on your Christmas wish list. So do you try to buy a cheap computer and a cheap monitor, or do you just buy a nice computer and you stick with the monitor you have for a year? So yeah, you're going to have to continue to upgrade these position groups. I agree with that, but I just don't think you're going to be able to go out there and say, you know what, we're going to allocate superstar money to the wide receiver position. I think that would be foolish. I think too that you would also believe that your defense was much better than it is.
Right.
If you do that, and you're going to be talking about, and if you are doing those things, we are talking about having a top pick in the next 2 years coming. I mean, there is a chance that this team is the worst team in the NFL for the next 3 years. I mean, it really is.
Look, CK, you said that that offensive line in front of Stroud was,
and that's backups too.
Yeah, and I mean that team is playing good football. The thing that makes it hard is that he's also made some arm talent throws in that game that we really haven't seen from Bryce all year. And yeah, you've seen some good throws from Bryce, and we did a film room after that Packers game, and we showed some of the good film. But those deep bombs, those abilities to put a ball on a spot right in between two defenders, like those are the things that you trade up for in a number one pick. And if someone is out there doubting what we have in our quarterback because we didn't see that this year, it's hard to blame those people. And until Bryce Young is able to have a type of year where he can turn it around, once you do finally get the offensive line, once you do finally get the wide receivers, as of right now, there's no denial that the better of the two quarterbacks was CJ Stroud. I just feel like
you can't argue against it. I wouldn't even begin to try to argue that CJ Stroud is not as good as Bryce Young. There's no evidence to be able to support that claim. And you could point to evidence all year that that's the case for Bryce Young, that he's not as good as CJ Stroud. I'm just stating that from a perspective of watching that game last night, there was a clear talent differential on the Texans team as opposed to the Panthers team. And we've said it all year. I am now, I believe wholeheartedly I don't think we should have traded for any quarterback. I think we should have maintained where we were. If CJ Stroud's here, I guarantee you dude's hurt. I guarantee you dude wasn't making it through the season. I mean,
we don't have to if it, but it. I think I think you're bringing a great. The point being is you can watch that Texans offensive line, and they provided structure.
Yeah,
against the Indy team that has to win, right? To win, like it was playing hungry, and an Indy team that worked our offensive line, right? And so, look, here's the other thing though. Is I think it would be foolish to just say, though, that the Texans turned this around in a year, so can the Panthers, because they have been building draft picks and and being bad for a while. So we might be the Texans 4 years ago at this point. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's take some more calls. There's a lot to get through. There's got a lot of fans to talk. We'll let you guys lead the show.
Well, that game, Bryce Young just fumbled. I don't know. In my opinion, he did JJ, by the way. But on that strip sack, it looked like he had a little bit of room to step up, but he didn't, and then he got stripped. So that's game. But whether he stepped up or not, honestly, I'm sorry, man. Is it just me, or is that just that specific sack where Bryce just isn't noticing a speed rusher coming off the edge, and they just swipe his arm when he goes to throw the football? Is that starting to become a problem? I feel like I've seen the same exact strip sack like 6 different times this year,
and it's coming from the same side.
So I don't know. Maybe I need to hear that from y'all. But that was the 20C3 season. Unfortunately, it's come to a wrap now. We're down 9. I'm not even looking at the game anymore. I figured that was just the game. The Buccaneers win the division, win the South. Shout out me and Anthony, who said don't sleep on the Buccaneers to win the division, because they do, in my opinion, they had the best or most amount of talent on the team.
I said that at the beginning of the year.
Coming into the year, but that was the only reason why. But at the same time, they had Baker Mayfield, so you never knew. But nobody cares about the Buccaneers. Tell me what y'all want to see from Bryce Young next year. I really don't know what to say, bro. This team's a shit show, and it's been a shit show pretty recently. But I tell y'all what, you should like the video. You should use code C3 on all prize picks, no matter what. Over, under, or more than or less than you're taking. You should join the C3 Panthers Spaces on Mondays and Thursdays, usually around 6:30 p.m. You should join the Friday free for alls as well, man. That's about it. Check me out at C3JJ_Josh. Any social for real, but yeah, that'll be all, man. Man, C3, I appreciate y'all so much, man. This was a dog shit season. There really ain't shit to say, honestly. I know I'm pouring it out at this point, but yeah. No, y'all just keep pounding.
Keep pounding, JJ.
Tough year. This goes in as anytime we go the year of 20C3. It was the year of us. It wasn't the year of the Carolina Panthers for sure.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
Gosh.
And I'll argue that we should have some optimism. And I know this sounds bad. We should have some optimism just based on the fact that the players that have left have gone on to have career years this year, Baker Mayfield included, which tells me a lot more about what we had as a team, as a coaching staff. And so I think that the idea of changing it in 1 year, yeah, that's probably a pipe dream, but I don't know that it's a 10-year plan that we're going to be on to try to get back to relevancy. I think that we're going to be seeing some things go our way, hopefully sooner rather than later, as long as we can get this head coaching position right. I'll tell you this. I'm not a fan of the Ben Johnson hire. Like the more I see and the more I like, I watch. I'm not saying that the Detroit Lions aren't great or aren't a good team, but they sure as hell aren't a great team, right? No. They're not a great team. And that offense, while it can look like a really good offense, there are times where it looks mediocre at best. And so I don't want to go with a guy who runs an offense that doesn't seem like, I don't know that offense would be able to keep up with a high-powered offense that's scoring on their team all the time. I just don't know. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I just think that there's other candidates that I would prefer over top of him.
I don't really care. First, I disagree in some ways that it could be sooner than later. Right now, I think the Panthers could be just as bad for 2-3 years, maybe. I mean, we don't know. I mean, you're right. I mean, there's always a chance you could incrementally get better. It's hard to be this bad. How about that? The only thing going for us is that it's hard to be this bad, and replicate this. Baker though sucks, dude. I mean, look at what he did to the. He didn't look good. I mean, he's hurt this, and yeah, he's had a career year in touchdowns and yards, but these guys couldn't beat the Falcons last week, right? They have stumbled and backed up into the playoffs, and yeah, I think Baker was worse on this team because it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually felt like I was always kind of defending Baker Mayfield a little
early
bit.
on in the season. We were. I was.
And I was like, I almost felt bad for him because all Panther fans would just turn it on and be like, Baker just sucks. Baker just sucks. Yeah, he sucks, but so does everybody fucking else. And we saw this. This whole team sucks. And this defense, I don't want to hear that they're a top whatever defense. Again, you guys can say it. You can whatever. The defense had a good day today, supposedly. Look, the Bucs offense is the first 2 plays, Mike Evans fucking smoked the team basically on the first 2 plays of the game. He was running free down the end. Baker missed him, right? So it's not like this team, while the defense was better than the offense, the defense isn't great. And on top of that, it's going to be completely different next year. Who the fuck is going to be around? Do you franchise Brian Burns? Do you tag him? Do you what is there to build upon? Do you have any linebackers you believe in? And Kruger Hill and Deion Jones?
Luvu.
Yeah, it's Frankie Luvu and Derek Brown are the only two. And J.C. Horn. You got those 3 people that you're going to go into next season saying that they're going to be on this team. But even the defense that was okay today is not even going to be close to the same. This team is going to be completely retooled. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe CK's right on that. It's like, hey, it can only go one direction. That is up, but things are bleak right now, guys. And the Panthers haven't scored in 2 consecutive games. The last time this happened was 2008. I can't but tell you 21 seasons the Carolina Panthers went without getting shut out, and they did it twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we never imagined that we would be worse than we were with Matt Rule. We thought Matt Rule was the bottom of the barrel, and then we had to learn the hard way that it was not. It's frankly a failure of football organization from top to bottom.
Frankly, I don't understand how it is this bad.
Well, how about this? We got the worst version.
Understand how it got this bad?
We got the worst version of every free agent player.
Yes,
minus Adam Thielen. Well, I mean, Von Bell did all right. Considering
Miles Sanders never looked so bad.
Yeah, Miles Sanders is just trash.
DJ Chark never looked this bad. Adam Thielen looked better than he probably did in the past, 3 years, to be fair, but. That's because he was being force-fed.
What team he played?
Hayden Hurst. Yeah, Hayden Hurst was and it looked horrendous. Now let's switch over to defense.
Making this amnesia just so he didn't have to go play on this team.
Right. Justin Houston never looked so bad. It's just like, yeah, the big name signings, they all played probably the worst football they've ever played in their entire history, going back to grade school.
That even makes it to me too simple, though. Is that this team, the staff had their worst season.
Yeah.
Like everybody. All right, here. Look, JJ's got 30 more seconds. He had to.
JJ, it's my second call. This one gonna be real quick. And give the fucking game ball to Derek Brown. I know we ain't win today, but you should still give the game ball to Derek Brown. That motherfucker played his heart out all season, playing every down, giving it his all, man. That's all I wanted to say. Derek Brown, shout out Derek Brown, best player on the team by far. Instantly became everyone's favorite player because he's the only one making plays anymore. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Hey, Derek Brown.
Yeah, thank you, JJ. On top of that, remember all the people that said Derek Brown was a bust?
Yeah, I never subscribed to that mindset with him.
I can go check the tape on that one, man. Is that he actually is the only player that's gotten better from week to week since he was drafted.
He has now fully turned into the player that you have drafted him to be. We knew that he would never be a 5-6+ sacks a year interior D lineman. That's never what you drafted him to be. He is a disruptor. He is a man amongst boys, and he's that defensive piece that you build the rest of your defense around. And I also, that's the reason why I don't like this narrative of, oh, the defense is pretty good. We can just build on it a few pieces next year, and it's fine. It's such an utter blatant lie. We need 2 defensive ends. We need probably 2 corners. We probably need another 2 linebackers. We probably need another safety at some point. Yeah. We have so many different needs on the Carolina Panthers right now. And if you're just focusing on this putrid offense, which, again, how could you not? They're so bad. It's an illusion onto how many holes on our defense the Panthers actually have.
Agreed. Teams didn't have to do anything to beat this team this year. I mean, think about this: is you got beat this week by 3 field goals. Last week, you got blown out by a team with a third string quarterback that had 140 yards or whatever. Right? Is teams have not had to do anything. The Carolina Panthers have gone out there and said, you know what? You don't need to beat us. We're going to win this game for you. We're going to win this game for you. And when I say win this game, you're going to win by a landslide, and you're going to look great. Let's go to Anthony in Charlotte.
What's up, C3? Anthony from Charlotte. What a fucking disgrace. What a joke of an organization. My friend asked me to go to the game today. I said, hell no. I'm not wasting time doing that. And it shows why. Another 0-point performance. This is just a fucking joke, dude. Christian McCaffrey, MVP candidate. DJ Moore, career highs. Baker Mayfield, best season of his career, 4,000 yards, 28 tutties. It's a fucking embarrassment. Terrace Marshall doesn't even know where the line of scrimmage is. Ike Mekwonu couldn't block a Bojangles box at this point. Missed field goals, third down runs, no pass protection, drops on offense and defense. It's just a joke, man. And I told the C3 chat, and I'm not going to say it on here, but you guys know how I feel about Tepper in the Friday Free For All Elite chat. That fucker's fucked this whole thing up. And this is ultimately why I told you guys, it's going to take a minimum of 3 years just to even look like an NFL team today. My friend Bryson from Panthers on Tap tweeted out, I've seen YMCA football teams look more creative than us. And that's the truth. Dude, you're 2-14. Why are you running? Why are you playing like we have a chance to win the NFC South? Like, what is this coaching, dude? Thomas Brown, no one's going to be back here. The Bucs are just kneeling the ball as we speak. Congrats to Baker, though. He said, fuck you, David Tepper. You're a joke. And he got to go to the playoffs. It's so typical, man. It is so typical. Always bet against this team. And nothing's going to change until we get a proper coach. They just beat us 9-0. 9-0. They played the worst game they've played all season. And they didn't even have to do anything versus us because the defense can't stop the run. And Bryce Young, he didn't play good, but I mean, he had a couple good plays that got taken back. I mean, dude, this whole team needs an overhaul. It's gonna take years, man. So mixing with that bullshit that we're just gonna sign a couple free agents, a new coach, and bam, we're gonna be a playoff contender. No, the fuck, we're not. We're not, because even the other teams in our division at least look like competent NFL units. That's not gonna be us for a very long time. So I'm sorry to be pessimistic here, but I've lost all hope, man. And you got to try to build around the kids, Bryce Young, because I mean that's the only hope we have right now, is that you can build around him. I mean, shit. Like, I know he hasn't had a good season. I'll be back for a quick part 2 to give my thoughts about the off season.
Anthony from Charlotte decided not to go to the game, didn't miss anything today by not going to the game, and believes that the Panthers are years out from getting this fixed. And I don't disagree with him. As we think about this, and some people are saying, like, who are we going to bring back? Would you want to bring back Tabor for special teams? One of the things I think is you have to ask, will these coaches want to come back? That's the one thing. And for me, the first thought was Ejiro Evero, who declined to join Sean Payton's staff as Sean Payton took over with Denver and came here. My question, though, is I was thinking, man, well, that means Evero, who probably would be the one component that you would want to maybe keep on this team, because he can at least try to continue to build a little defensive vision on top of what was forged this year, right? Instead of just completely starting over at every single piece. Then you got to wonder, will he want to come back? Well, he is under contract, though, right? So it's like, if you don't fire him, he has to quit, right? And that means he would have to give up money. And so there might be a way that he comes back sort of reluctantly in a way, but that is about the only thing that I could even consider a realistic possibility of this staff on going into the future. Man, I think it's going to be a tall task for anybody who comes in here. I think that David Tepper is got to be furiously embarrassed right now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
How bad it's just gone. Right.
Did I see a picture of his suite having aluminum foil over top of the windows and stuff?
Really?
Like,
so you can see him?
No, yeah, so you couldn't see inside. I don't understand the point of that. If you want to be able to
they
see
don't
how.
want to. Yeah, he's been embarrassed the way he acted last week. He had some sort of tinting over it, maybe, or something.
Maybe it looked like crumpled up aluminum foil, just like over the windows and stuff. But
hey, y'all want to see something funny, but also infuriating at the same time? Bro, listen to this answer from Ike Ekwonu, and why the hell are you smiling so much, bro?
Shook you a little bit. I'm not really going to speak on that too much, to be honest with you. But I just know the type of player I am and the player I can be, and that didn't show up enough this year at all. So that's something I got to get back to.
So basically saying he's believing in himself, but he's not smiling the whole damn time. Like, dog, why are you smiling? Why are you smiling? Why is anyone smiling? How do you not know how that looks, bro? You're smiling, and meanwhile, you're chasing everybody, looking like a Looney Tunes cartoon, looking like a Wile E. Coyote out there. Every time someone gets past you, bro, dude, everyone on this team is annoying to me, dude. I'm so happy that this season is over, that we get a break from Panther football. I do not know what his future is. He also reiterated that he wants to be a left tackle. How about this? I don't give a damn what you want, Icky. At this point, if you don't pan out at guard, you'll be no different than Deontay Brown to me. Just a bunch of potential. That's it.
I can only hope that the smile comes from, I think I have a condition. There's got to be a condition, a medical condition or a psychological condition. I've got it too. And that's when someone tells you like the worst news, like my grandmother is died in a plane crash this morning.
Someone smiled.
And I'm like, because I'm just so fucking uncomfortable. It's like the worst. It's like an autistic reaction, emotional reaction. But I think I got that condition a little bit. Man, that's all I can hope, that Icky is smiling out of being uncomfortably embarrassed about his play. Yeah. Like the opposite reaction of your actual facial So look, let's do this. Is Anthony called 3 times in a row. You know what? We're gonna call back. We're gonna come back to your calls, Anthony. Let's take some other people. We'll come back to them.
Gentlemen, it is fucking over. Ooh, I'm so glad the season is over. What a horrible game. That game was a fucking embarrassment to the Carolinas. And I said this now, and I say this again, Thomas Brown, whatever his damn name is, he needs to get the fuck up out of Carolina. I do not want him back in Carolina. I put this on Twitter, and I'm going to stand by what I'm about to say. 85% of our team needs to get either traded, cut, or released. They ran Chuba Hubbard in the fucking ground. And it's like the play calling was so fucking predictable. It wasn't even funny, man. And every time we get ready to score, that shit got called back. The shit with DJ Chark. Then when old boy ran the ball in, I'm just like, come on, man. Think about it. We got shut out last week. We got shut out today. When the fucking Panthers history that shit has ever happened back to back? Never. I've been following this team since 96. Okay, no, my bad, since 1995. I've never seen no shit like this. But the good thing is, no more. It's time for a new coach. It's my opinion. We need a new defensive coordinator. Our defensive coordinator, Double E, fucking sucks. I cannot stand his damn defense. It's 3-4. It's not for the damn Panthers, y'all. It's not.
Oh, he's hitting
a new head coach. And Icky got blown up. Icky needs to get out of the damn being left tackle. Everyone's saying, Cody, you said it, bring him into guard. But my thing is, if you bring him at guard, would you put fucking Brady at left tackle? That's the question of why he's ever fucking talking about. Because I believe Brady played left tackle in college. I think so. But anyway, it's over, fellas. I love y'all to death. Take a breather. See y'all in September. Hey, y'all, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. I wanted to ask you all that question, so that was a great precursor call. Do we think that we're already going to be abandoning the 3-4 defense? Because we're talking about if Ejiro Rivero is going to be the defensive coordinator. Well, look, if we're bringing in a whole new coaching staff, what's to say that we even stick with the type of defense that we're running right now? Like, is there a chance that we do end up going to a 4-3?
I guess it depends upon who we hire. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to. We thought this year was going to be the year for Brian Burns because we thought that this was going to be a natural defense for him and his playing style, a matter of speed coming off of the edge, playing standing up as opposed to his hands in the ground. And I just don't know that we've seen that. So, I mean, it ultimately boils down to that decision at who's going to be coming in here. If we hire a defensive-minded head coach, I think we could pretty much assume, based on what their defense is, that's what we're going to be running.
I think the embarrassing part for David Tepper right now, and to be honest, I do think David Tepper made the right decision in firing Frank Reich. I think that this team, I think it's all so bad. I think if he doesn't fire Scott Fitterer, though, it may be for naught. But I think the embarrassing part for David Tepper now is that you now are going to have to invest in a coach and give him time. Right. I mean, it's like, and it sucks because you could look, this team underperformed so bad that you could just say, this is not worth running it back. Next year, whoever the team is and whoever the coach is, you're not going to be able to say that. Right. You're just not. I mean, is that you get the same team right here and you go, well, what else did you expect this motherfucker to do? And then you're going to have to give him more time. Right. So it's like, you cannot, David Tepper's going to be embarrassed because he's going to have to suck it up.
Yeah.
And have a bad business for a few years. A losing business. And while you don't want that, now you could hope that you make gains faster than you anticipated. But I think if you come in, I don't care who you bring in, what coaches, what free agents, whatever you bring in, I don't think you could realistically paint the Panthers having more than 5 wins in any scenario.
No.
Now you can go all offensive line, nail in the draft. You might be able to win more than 5 games, right? Like, I mean, it might be a possibility that a team can go and do something like the Colts did, or, you know what I'm saying, is just like, or maybe Minnesota played way better, a little bit better than you expected.
Dude, we're in hell.
Or something. But you could not realistically set the over-under for more than 4 games for the Panthers next year. It was 5.5, I believe, this year. Wait to start from Vegas. It's there's a good chance that this is a condition we're going to have to get to accept for a little while. And look, is that unless you just bring in a 1-year coach and tank, and then you set it up for the next year. But that kind of sucks, is that that's what you did this year in a way. Yeah. You didn't intend to do that. Let's go to Chuck from Elizabeth City.
Hey, guys, it's Chuck from Elizabeth City calling in. I've only got one thing to really say. We end up going, what's it been, 28 years, this franchise. We've been shut out 3 times in our 28-year history. And in the last 2 weeks, shut out twice.
Shouldn't have been shut out today, though.
I don't think it's gotten any lower.
Or last week, really.
Right now. Federer better be cleaning out his damn office.
Oh, I'm going to have to talk about that, too.
Don't want to hear anything else about Tepper because he's not selling. Well, we just got to get a GM in place. If it's Dan Morgan, somebody else, hire a head coach, and let's just start fresh. I mean, hell, we might win 4 or 5 games next year, but if it's the improvement, it'll be better than this, guys. This is sad.
Cody, you had something you want to talk about? I got something I want to talk about too.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
He said David Tepper's not selling, right? Just say, hypothetically, David Tepper said, you know what? This shit's not for me, right? I'm done with this. Like, I'm just going to sell. How much do you think he could get for the Carolina Panthers now? Because he bought them for $3 billion. The team, I think, would go up.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, the value has gone up. Would it be 5?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what did they pay for the Commanders? 7-point-something billion?
Yeah, but that's a story.
I know, which is why I'm saying 7 would be outrageous, but I think 5 seems pretty reasonable.
5 or 6. What if you?
He's worth $20 billion. It's not even worth it enough.
Why? You almost double your investment. Any investment. If I told you here's $100,000 and in 5 years double it for me, you would be like, hell fucking yeah. Like, that's like incredible investing.
He went from $7 billion. He went from being worth $7 billion to $20 billion. If you Google him right now, he's worth $20 billion. That's $13 billion.
I understand that, but like, wouldn't it be in some ways a kind of baller ass move if you just had the worst history in franchise, like in the franchise, the worst season, not for me. And then you said, you know what, I'm gonna double my money and get the fuck out of here.
I mean, that's honestly, one of the best investments you could possibly make if you're a billionaire. Yeah. Here's the thing. My belief and I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but David Tepper doesn't seem like the person to hold on to a losing stock. Right. And my position being is if If a business isn't performing well, he's not going to continue to put money into that business, right? So might as well just move on to something that he's good at. Right now, the Carolina Panthers are an underperforming asset on a pretty
on
large
the field, but not on not from a financial perspective, though.
Right. But do you think he's enjoying himself? Do you think he's happy or much more angry that he's a owner of the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, more money, more problems.
I think he's
he
angry.
feels like shit.
I think that's why it would be wild. Imagine it. I think it would just be wild if he goes, you know what? I'm gonna sell this bitch. And I think about it, it's a burning fucking building, and that burning building is worth twice as much as what you paid for it.
He's not going to sell. My question was, did you hear the news that apparently David Tepper is going to be using a firm?
That helped him with the soccer search.
Yeah, to help him.
He's already fired them 3 times. So does that really make me feel any better?
I mean, all right, here's the pluses and minuses, right? On the plus side, we know that David Tepper can't make these decisions on his own. So at least you're giving this to someone else whose job it is to go out and find the actual next head coach of the Panthers. The drawback to it is like, dude, it's such a club. It's a circle of people that recommend their friends, and this guy knows this guy who works for this firm, and he has this agent, and they have relationships with one another. It's not necessarily guaranteed to give you the best coach that's available on the market. They're just checking boxes. So it's kind of soulless in a way, I feel like. I feel like it almost takes away some of the importance of the interview even. But I don't know, man. I'm hopeful that maybe someone else is going to be able to come in here and give a brand new pair of eyes to David Tepper, who, let's be honest, needs them pretty bad right now.
First off, the name of the company is Sportsology. Imagine you're like, you know what, guys? This is where
just a bunch of frat bros that made a business.
Consulting is the fucking craziest, awesome gig in the history of the world. Right? They get paid for a shit ton of money. You know how many consultants my college has brought in, and they come in and give a few meetings 3 times a year over 5 years. You pay them $200,000, $500,000 to do this. And basically what I have always considered or have been irritated by this is that if you have the need for consultants to come in and temporarily intervene, then the people you have in place aren't good enough to do it in the meantime. Like they're the people you hire for leadership roles are the ones that should be consulting. They're the ones that should be leading. So really what you have to do is this stupid, first I would just be like, man, y'all got to change your fucking name, Sportsology. What a dumbass fucking name. You know, they're like,
Jordan said Scientology for sports.
Yeah. The other thing is that what you really need to do is that means you don't trust Scott Fitter to go and hire the head coach. You don't trust yourself, and you know you shouldn't. You shouldn't. But what you should do.
Multiple people have come out saying they believe his job is on the line.
You need to hire these consultants right now to help you hire the GM. And then that GM, you need to hire him based on the idea that you're confident that he can lead the search for a head coach, and that you could require him to keep working with the consultants through the process, right? But like he then take the leadership role. But if you have to go and hire this sports team to come in and temporarily get you through this, the people you have in place are not good enough to run the daily operation. If you don't believe that Scott Fitter has the wherewithal to go and hire a head coach and continue to build on his vision, he's not the right guy for the job. He's not the right guy for the job. That's simple. And the GM should be your number one consultant.
The GM should be literally running the organization from top to bottom. He should be the leader, almost like the king of your organization under the owner, right? Or to borrow from Game of Thrones.
The owner is the king.
Yeah,
is the hand of the
to borrow from Game of Thrones. No, he's the hand of the king to steal from Game of Thrones. He has to enact all the laws. He has to make sure that things move right. Dude, they have to hire the strength and conditioning staff, all the doctors. There's so many things that the GM does. You need a competent guy in control of your organization. And to me, that's the biggest hire is the GM job. Who exactly are they going to hire to run this team?
Yeah, for my paisan out there, that's what they would call if David Tepper's the Don, right? The Godfather, then the GM's the consigliere, which is the hand of the king. He's the one. But this is you just need David Tepper to bless this stuff. Bless this stuff. He shouldn't be doing it's a we fucked this up from the beginning. David Tepper fucked this up by just not doing it in the right order. You got your coach, then you went and got your GM, then you got another coach, then you got the keeper. You need to get a GM who hires the coach. That's it. Like, he has to be the one that signs off on the coach, because then you never have this stupid debate where Cody, CK, if we never have this discussion about whether or not if Frank Reich was truly a CJ Stroud guy or something, right? If the general manager brings in the owner, they work as a partnership. The general manager brings in the coach. They work in concert together. They have to. And what I would do right now is this, is I would go out there tomorrow and I'd say, we're going to hire our GM with the vision of somebody he believes can help find a coach that can get us moving in a better direction. Right. And then I would say this is that I'm going to hire you. I'm going to hire the guy that you tell me to hire as head coach. And if I have to fire that coach in 3 years, you're getting fired too. You live together, you die together. Look at this. People are upset.
So, back-to-back shutouts, huh? This fucking team is fucking pathetic, bro. All around, I am so happy that it was the last fucking game of the season. I don't gotta endure this shit another Sunday until next year, but fuck me. We really gotta do something about this fucking team, boys. They are fucked. This whole team is fucked. That game was fucked. I'm tired of being fucked. All right, have a good show.
People are saying we get Dan Quinn, we get this. Gosh, you know what? This just makes me sick and sad. Sad, sick, and fucking afraid. I'm naked and afraid. This is what it feels like to be on that show, Naked and Afraid, right now. This is the feeling they have. And I still want to know why that fucking show exists. Why the fuck does the show Naked and Afraid exist? Why can't you just be out in the fucking afraid? Why do they gotta be naked? Put a loincloth on.
Okay. For the first time since 2008, an NFL team has went back-to-back shutouts. That was us. We need a lot of things next year. We need an offensive line. Should stop the list. Doesn't matter what receivers you go get. If you don't improve your offensive line, receivers don't count. That being said, and I know Cody's all for certain, or mostly for certain, that Ickey can play guard. I'm just not certain anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to wonder if Ickey Ekwonu has the ability to be a qualified starter in the NFL at any position. We need a real leader on this team. We need a leader on the ownership. We need a leader in the GM. We need a leader in the head coaching. We need a leader on the coordinators. We need a leader on the field. And I'm sorry, Bryce Young is not. Encouraging somebody to keep fucking up is not a leader. Shaking hands with everybody when they leave or they come into the locker room, that's nice and sweet. That's what your girls do. But you need a leader on the field. Sometimes you need a bad guy. Sometimes you need a guy that's going to get in an offensive lineman's face and say, if you can't block better than this, you don't need to be on the field with me. Sometimes you need a leader that's going to be a little bit pissed off. Sometimes you need a leader that's going to have the attitude that Derek Brown has. And Bryce don't got that. I'm sorry. I've been hesitating to say this, but we actually need a veteran starting quarterback because Bryce ain't it. And we need somebody better than Andy Dalton who's going to sit there and not have the gumption to go in and be a starter. So we need a real starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't know where we're going to get it, but we need one. And that doesn't mean Bryce is going away, but hey, Jimmy Clausen was replaced after his first year, and he became a career backup until he's no longer in the league. Right now, I don't see much difference between Bryce and Jimmy Clausen. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but that's where it is. Y'all have a great day. This is Panther Pickle. I'll catch you tomorrow or this evening. Hopefully, and one more thing before I go. If after 2 back-to-back shutouts, if I'm Tepper, and we all know I'm not, if I'm Tepper, there's nobody on the coaching staff survives after today or after tomorrow, whatever. I might would do it tonight, but nobody survives. No offense, nobody. No defensive coaches, no offensive coaches, no special teams coaches, nobody. And
I must have cut him off. Great call, Pickle. Man, it's so tough, CK. It's so tough. And listen, we have to be real what the sentiment is. Whether you believe in these players long term or not, it's hard to fight off the feeling that the Panthers drafted their franchise left tackle and yet still don't have a franchise left tackle. And then the Panthers traded up to get their franchise quarterback, traded DJ Moore, has a career year. Christian McCaffrey has a career year. And by the way, you also traded the first overall pick in the 2024 draft, a draft rich with quarterbacks, for a franchise quarterback that a lot of people don't feel showed any franchise quarterback moments this year. And now you have people in the cat calls wanting an even better veteran than Andy Dalton. I maintain I wanted to see more of Andy Dalton this year just to see if Bryce was the common denominator, just to see if maybe there was a world where Andy Dalton was able to pick up some more points and you're fighting for the health of Bryce in his long term and not potentially getting him hurt this year. We'll never know because they decided to let Bryce play just about every snap that he was physically able to. But I don't know if Bryce was even the best quarterback in the quarterback room this year. I don't know.
Here, let's see if this caller has something to say about it.
Well, Jacksonville just lost the division, and C.J. Stroud just won it. But that's not my call for today. Well, my second call for today. Man, I love these last weeks of football, bro. This last week of football is fucking crazy, man. I got fucking $1,000 on the line right now. Fucking, I gotta play all my. I had to play the waiver wire like heavy. So I'm going in the 4 o'clock game. This is where my money will be made. We'll see, man. Hopefully I can win this money, bro. $100 to start, $1,000 to finish. Let's go. Root for me. Later, guys.
Later.
Let's keep going.
Go to the end of the road. Oh no, I can't let go. Finally, this season is over. This season been over since training camp. Because this team is trash. I don't have to see no more game this year. What's up? It's your boy, Jay Anderson. I'm just calling y'all.
What's up, CJ?
Because I am so happy. I know that's bad for a Panther fan to say it, but I am so happy that this season is over. This has to be one of the worst, if not the worst seasons of all time. This has to be number one next to the 2010 season. But I think I enjoyed that season better than this season. I mean, this ain't even close to be. I mean, the 2001, where we went 1-15, we lost 15 straight games. That was probably better than this season.
This season has been absolutely been the worst. This has been garbage from everything, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players. I mean, congrats to Derek Brown with what he did, but this whole thing was just trash. And I go back to February, almost 1 year to now. Everybody was saying this is an all-star coaching staff. I say, wait, we need to see how this all-star coaching staff, this quote-unquote all-star coaching staff, gonna do. Didn't do nothing. We could have told this by training camp when the training camps did not look great. And I was like, yo, what are they doing? They don't look good. Preseason show how crappy this team is. And I've been saying it for years. David Tepper is the problem. David Tepper has always been the problem. If he don't get out the way from football operations, from football business, this team gonna go absolutely down the trash. It is on him to back the fuck away from this team operation. Pick a good president to run this damn team. You stay in the back and don't say nothing. Just give the money. That's it.
Dennis Allen responding, CK, in the press conference. He said, I'm going to start by apologizing to Arthur Smith and the Falcons. Said they should have taken a knee, but guys wanted to give Jamal Williams a touchdown. That's unacceptable.
So to add more context, it wasn't just that they trubbed them at the end. It was that they were lined up in a kneel down scenario, and they ran the football instead of doing the kneel down.
You know what? If I was the coach, I would come out and say, shut the fuck up, Arthur Smith. You know what? Maybe this guy gets a bonus for fucking getting a touchdown. I'm stat padding all the way, baby. I don't care.
By the way, the Eagles look fraudulent as all get out right now, by the way.
Well, Jalen Hurts potentially hurt his ankle. A.J. Brown hurt his knee.
A.J. Brown hurt his knee. Jalen Hurts broke his finger, I think.
On his throwing hand. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just this shows you how hard it is to replicate success.
That defense is about to go down in the first quarter 24-0 if they could score a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals marched down the field on them. Yeah, so they are falling apart. They lost a lot. And another example of how difficult it is when you have success and then your coaches leave. Yeah. Right. So they lost both their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator. To be honest, I think that they did well throughout the season enough in spite of that in so many ways, but it's tough to replicate good. I bet you it's going to be a lot easier to replicate bad. At least the Carolina Panthers have taught this. Let's see. Let's go to the next call. Let's see what's up here from California.
Hi again, guys. This is Michael Wydrick from Hesperia, California. Well, I did not watch the game today, but I will say this. Congratulations to the Lions on making the playoffs. My grandmother just passed her chemo. So now I just hope that everything goes well. And yeah, I hope next season goes better for us. Bryce needs to be more, evaluated into the quarterback position, and somebody needs to come in and handle the opportunities that we have next season. And I hope that we have a better season that makes sense to us, that can get us back into a winning rhythm. So you guys have a nice day. Keep pounding.
Somebody in the chat brought this up is an interesting point here. He said no one's going to be coming here. You want to talk about how hard it's going to be to court coaches? It's going to be even more difficult to court free agents, right? And so you're going to overpay. There is a long road ahead of the Carolina Panthers, I believe, and I think we are just like Andy Dufresne, and it turns out that we're only halfway through the tunnel of shit that we're crawling through.
Yeah.
Jay Anderson, very happy that the season was over in the previous call. People in the chat said we can't lose next week. I feel like I can take my Sundays back some, right? Yeah. My ice up pick this past Tuesday was for that assisted suicide fucking machine.
Yeah.
This is
now
why
you needed services.
No, this is why you don't legalize shit like that, because you would be like, you know what? It's just like casually people committing suicide right here because of how fucking terrible this is. It's terrible. This is like something that's going to test, I think, the mettle of this podcast. I am very comfortable that and confident that the C3 Panthers podcast will live through this. I know we will, because this is actually part of just our friendships and our lifestyle now. I'd be curious to see how it affects creators in general, though, for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. And I'm not saying that other creators are just going to quit or something, but how do we as fans deal with the down shifting of fan excitement for some time to come? In fact, the task ahead of the C3 Panthers podcast has become more challenging than ever. Right? Is that like right now we are going to have to try to figure out in this off season not only how to generate excitement for people to watch our show and be part of the C3 community, which you can by smashing thumbs up button, subscribe, and being a C3 super fan, things like that. But we're going to have to do that in the face of a low tide of fan involvement, of fan interest. I can't imagine that even hardcore fans, the hardest core, this show is for the hardest of core of fans, right? It's for the fans that want to listen to a podcast that goes on for 3 hours on Tuesday night, regardless of whatever, no news, no nothing like this. And then they're like pre-gaming in spaces and shit like that. Right? Guys, if you listen to this podcast, you are a fanatic.
Yeah.
Even fanatics are getting tired. That's fucking wild, dude. It's bad. This is really, really bad. And maybe we just need to continue to stoke the fire of the Bryce Young debate, Cody. Maybe that's it. Maybe
I'm about to.
The talking point there truly is to fucking continue to nerve touch.
No,
if Bryce Young is the quarterback, because really it just doesn't matter. By the time we figure out if he could be, it's too late.
No, we have so many things this offseason that's going to keep us relevant, between the hiring of a new head coach to potentially a GM. What the Bears are going to do with our number 1 overall pick. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. It doesn't all have to be about Bryce Young.
My thing is this, Cody, is that I feel like CK, I should say, his name is Cody too, by the way. CK is, while I want to talk about the coach, I want to talk about the GM, I'm going to, in the back of my head, continue to say, man, I got excited about this last hire.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
like
you're allowed to be excited about the future. You're excited to be, it's okay to be excited about the future. But these past few years have just beaten Panthers fans down so hard into the ground. It's, if you're not jaded to the whole process at this point, get ready, because you will be. We are definitely going to stoke the fires of the quarterback discussion. That's not going away for a long time. We're going to talk about, what do we address first? And, Tony, you talked about the waning interest just amongst all content creators that are doing this. We are going to have some firing watches and hiring watches, and those are always good for numbers because everybody wants their opinion on the guys that are in consideration, the guys that are not in consideration, and ultimately the people that do end up getting hired and fired. those are all big time news for us. So I feel like
there's a fear though. There's a fear though to me that despite that, yes, those are things. They're discussion points, like CK said. We have all of these discussion points, but my true fear is that in those discussion points, there is a cynicism, a pessimism that shrouds everything. To where I'm like this, I'm like, I don't even give a fuck if we get Ben Johnson. What the fuck Ben Johnson gonna do for me? I almost feel like, imagine if you 3 years ago opened your mailbox and there was an invitation to a private party at David Tepper's house. Right? Like, imagine how excited and cool you would be. Like, you're like, as long as we're not going to Epstein's Island, I am fucking excited. Like, you're like nervous. I'm walking into David Tepper puts an invitation to his dinner party in my mailbox today. I'm walking in that bitch expecting him. The pressure's on him to impress me. I'm walking in this bitch like this. Is like, oh, just crab legs and fucking lobster tails. That's it, motherfucker. Like, it's going to be hard to impress me right now. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know what offensive linemen are available in free agency that are supposed to spark my interest. The only name I've seen at left tackle is Tyron Smith, and Cowboys fans seem to think that he's old and over the hill. Like I told you before, we're going to need 1 or 2 more wide receivers. We're going to need 1 or 2 more linebackers, 1 or 2 more D linemen. Yeah. And you got to hope that we put some pieces around Bryce enough next year to be able to evaluate him. Like, that's the thing. You're not even hoping for the playoffs next year. How could you be? You're hoping to see Bryce Young take a step forward, that there's something to build around,
which I thought we were
hoping for this year. Right. That's what you were hoping for this year.
Look at what the Raiders did. Look at what the Raiders did, Cody. This team didn't get better despite Frank Reich. Right? I mean, they just didn't get better. This has been a deterioration completely.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we got a good amount of calls left, CK. Probably like, not too many, maybe 8. Let's go to Anthony.
Let's run through them. I'm hungry.
Hungry.
Hey, C3, it's Anthony back. So my thoughts on the offseason, Scott Fitter's going to be fired. I mean, my guy, my source that I showed you guys, he confirmed it too. He said it a couple weeks ago when I showed you. Schefter confirmed it. He's going to be fired. They need to really what they need to do is they need to go out and they need to draft offensive linemen. That's the number one priority. And I know we need a new play caller. That will come with the new head coach. I'm not going to say it again, but anyone should be better from what I've seen on the field today. But, I could be taking that with a grain of salt, and you never know. I said that about Frank Reich last year. That was the only reason I was semi-okay with him, is because I thought he'd be better than Matt Rule. Turns out I was wrong. So in that aspect, yeah, then we need to sign a big free agent wide receiver that doesn't fumble in the end zone, can actually stretch the field and get contested catches, a.k.a. T. Higgins, if he even wants to come to this shit show.
Nope.
And then you need to draft a bunch of depth. Listen, I know Derek Brown's the best player on the team. He's elite at this point. He's the one that jumped to the elite status in my book. I would pay him. I would flip Brian Burns for a first-round pick and draft a receiver, because I don't think defensive line has been the biggest need of ours. Also, the next coach needs to put J.C. Horn on the best player on offense at all times. I don't know why they talk about how they think so highly of him, and then they have him guarding fucking Trey Palmer. Like, what kind of logic is that? I'm sorry I sound like a hothead right now, but this was a waste of time to watch today. And if I didn't have Prize Picks on it, I wouldn't be watching it. I'm dead ass. So, yeah, there's that. And then you got to hope that Tepper stays out of the football operation. You have to hope he does, because that's the only way anything, is going to get fixed with this organization. Is even if you hire a guy like Ben Johnson, if your hand's in the cookie jar and you're still telling him who to sign, what to do this or that, like, no, you can't do that. You know nothing about football.
You were dumb enough to think that we could draft this Bryce Young kid and put nothing around him and save money for defense when that was even a bullshit talk by you too, because the defense has tons of holes too. Listen, I'm just being honest with you guys. Next year, you're hoping for 5 wins, literally. Like, you're hoping for 5 to 6 wins, like 3rd place in the division type shit. Like, it's not going to be this easy climb up or anything like that. That's not how it's going to go. We're in a serious rebuild right now. We're the worst team in the league. We have holes everywhere. And thanks to the people that traded all our offensive weapons, who, by the way, I'll say it again for the people in the back, we're not replaceable. We're not replaceable. Anthony from Charlotte.
Thanks, Anthony. I think the hard part for me accepting this, CK, is that it's not the record.
Right.
It's not the record that's the problem. It's the despair that comes with the daunting task ahead. It's just how much of a problem this is to get out of. And frankly, while I just don't agree with Anthony when they say who could have to think that you could have done well with this team around him. Is like, who would have ever thought you could get a guy like this and put him on this team and then be any good? I think we all thought the Panthers. I just don't think that anybody. It's actually unfathomable that the Panthers were this bad this year.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not even that I needed them to be good. It is the reason Frank Reich got fired is because it was worse than anybody could have imagined
by a pretty hefty distance, right? If there was any potential that we had seen from this team, like, we just don't see anything.
Yeah.
We don't see anything. I mean, even when we have our good games, we lose, right? Even when we have
the best game of the season was a loss.
Right. That's the Green Bay game. Well, that's from an offensive perspective. The defense was god awful in that game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to maintain hope. Here's the only thing I worry about with the people who are already, on the position of moving on from Bryce Young. We have been on this roller coaster of starting a new quarterback every single year since 2018.
Yeah.
We have had Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
We've had Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton, PJ Walker. I mean, the idea
sprinkled in throughout. PJ Walker just.
By the way, this is the first year we've had a quarterback not be injured multiple times throughout the year.
That played a whole season.
That played for pretty much a whole season and only missed 1 game technically.
Oh right, maybe Teddy.
The dude needs an opportunity to get better, right? Everybody deserves an opportunity to get better. If you're a veteran and you don't look like you've gotten better, then that's where I have the issue with people like DJ Chark, right? DJ Chark came in here. He was supposed to be established.
It's a 5-year player.
Right. And 5 years, right? Yeah. You should be showing a lot more on tape than what we've seen from DJ Chark.
Should be fumbling today, looking like a dumbass, like it's your first time playing wide receiver.
Right. So, I mean, we have to be patient with some of these players. Some of them, not so much, because they have pedigree in this league to be able to show that they know what they're doing. And if they're not doing it now, then maybe they're already out of their prime. And DJ Chark just doesn't look to be it. He had a good couple of games, but then he's just dropping balls. He's looking to be a part of the reason. We lost this game because of 3 people. We lost it because of Terrace Marshall Jr., DJ Chark, and Ike Ekwonu.
CK, I'm 100% with you. Actually, this is not a defense of Bryce Young, nor is it an advocate or a diss on Bryce. I don't think the Panthers have a choice to move on from Bryce Young yet.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
I think that moving on from Bryce Young, even if he's wrong, wouldn't help. I mean, like, if he's not the player, if he is a bust, it might help us more than anything to learn that organically next year. Right. And you know what I'm saying is like what would starting over at the quarterback right away help this team with? And then nothing. You have so much more you need to do before that. And I truly feel like I don't feel like Bryce is the problem. I don't feel that Bryce is a guy that cannot succeed in this league. Do I believe that Bryce Young had a disappointing season? Certainly. Do I think that there are all these caveats we could talk about if it was the right time, if trading up, all of those things? But right now, I just think it would be malpractice to be like this. Imagine if you had a house that was literally falling apart, right? Like the foundation is crumbling, the roof is leaking, but you had dirty carpets. And you were like, you know what? Let's replace the fucking carpet. No, work on the other shit first. Look, if Bryce Young could be a victim of circumstance by the end. He could be a guy that could have thrived on another team in a better place, in a better moment. How many thousands of stories are there truly in the NFL like that, though, that are just not as high profile as a number one pick, right? A player that in the right place thrived, a player in the wrong place didn't, right? There is a chance that regardless of Bryce, that this is beyond Bryce Young's control if he is a success in Carolina, right? Like if the team just continues to stink around him, it doesn't matter what he does, that he will be the baby that's thrown out with the bathwater. Yeah. And that's truly my fear, that by the time we get to the point of real evaluation of Bryce Young, it's too late. But there's no sense with the way we are right now. Next year, you go all in on Bryce Young next year.
Right.
You start him every single game. You try to get better as a team. Whether you get better as a team or not, I don't know. But you have to try. There's no sense in just fucking knocking that out too and trying again there. And I do think he can play. And to be honest, I think he's shown some mental fortitude throughout this season dealing with a lot of this shit. I almost feel like other rookies in this type of situation would have only deteriorated more throughout the season. He didn't go and throw 5 picks every week and this and that. And maybe they didn't give him the chance to, but this is a systemic fail. While I'm not here advocating that Bryce has had a great season, nor am I going to try to say that you can defend him. And look, CJ Stroud arguably could be an MVP candidate. But right now, I've got literal bigger fish to fry than Bryce Young.
I see what you did there. Just
hey
so
guys,
much.
I'm the realist here. And being a realist, I have to say this, and I know it hurts. But I think we should look at auctioning off what we have that's worth any value of draft picks. If
This
we
is
can
the
get
scary part.
a competent GM and a competent coach, sit back for a couple of years, just take the beatings, but get higher draft picks. Don't end up being in the 6 or 7 spot. Be in the 1 or 2 spot. Rebuild quickly with higher draft picks, and then just start it all over. This was a disaster. This was 2 or 3 different regimes where you got mixed parts. It's kind of the Island of Misfit Toys roster. Let's just start all over. Let Bryce go out there and get beat up next year. Whatever. Build the line. It's not going to be for Bryce. It'll be for Shedeur Sanders or Arch Manning. Just wonder what your thoughts are. I know people hate to hear this, but you give Derek Brown all that money, it's going to be for nothing. He's going to play great on what? 3 and 14, 4 and 12, 4 and 13 teams the next few years. Trade that man and get draft picks and let him go be the bar of something competitive during his prime, because by the time we're competitive, he's out of his prime. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast.
I like this call a lot because I do think that this is something that we might need to really be thinking about as we go forward with the show. Not today, but in the future weeks. Is that how do you get yourself, look at the teams that have started to turn around, from the Bengals to the Browns to the Texans. This was a long road of a lot of picks come. You know what I'm saying? Is we're going to need one of those years in 3 years where we got 2 first-round picks. Like,
yeah,
that's
good
what
luck. That happens to other teams. That doesn't happen to the Panthers. That requires forward-thinking general managers that know how to get first-round picks.
CK,
and owners.
Can you see my face?
Okay.
Let's go to the next one.
Hi, this is Michael Wydrick again. And also, I want to say, this was a joke of a season for us. But man, oh man, I'm glad it's over. And I hope we all have a better season next season. We better draft the right players. Get somebody that knows football better than Tepper. Get a coach that knows how to coach. And let's hope that these players are ready to fucking play, because this is just a joke for us to be losing this badly and have a poor season. Like, honestly, I just had it. I've had it with this team. This team's just not there for me. And I hope the Lions do make it to the Super Bowl. When they do, my grandmother will be the most happiest person ever. And yeah, she won't have to kill me. Okay. Keep pounding.
We heard her giggling in the background. We hope she's feeling better. Let's go to the next call.
What's going on, C3 family? D, Sanford, North Carolina. Shout out to the great Tony Dunn, to the homie Cody Lack, to that Code Dizzle, CK. Shoot, to shut the hell up, Panther Pickle, to that effing guy, Muscle Marinara, to Kristen Ledane, the Blind Panther. I want to say that this season has been a challenging season. And I'm thankful for every single one of y'all to navigate through this time. As I've called before, some of the things that y'all have helped me with, just on a personal level of just having community, means the world to me.
We appreciate you, D.
I'm not going to harp on a lot of the negative of today or being shut out twice. I'm more on the thing of where I'm in a world of optimism, because, GM is probably going to be gone. If it's anything to believe with Tepper getting an outside firm, maybe we'll get the right coaching in now. But shout out to Derek Brown, having that record for tackles, I think, for defensive tackles or defensive linemen in a season. I look forward to him next year. I look forward to Chuba. I look forward to the growth of Bryce. But that DJ Chark, he is an absolute, I don't know. Did somebody pay that man to come and help tear down the walls of the Panthers? I mean, I'm not going to get too plays happen, bang, bang, and all that, but he was holding that football like a loaf of bread. I don't understand what was going on in that play, the running play. It was just indicative of our season, and I think that's why this game was a little more painful to me, because as I watched, I was able to see and ascertain just in this one game our problems all year. The picture was painted perfectly. And that's why this game stung so much to me.
Yeah, you can just watch this game instead of watching the whole season.
Every single one of you in this Panther family.
Appreciate you, D.
I never thought I'd have a group of, I like to call friends and family now. And I just want to say I'm going to enjoy chatting with y'all during the off season. And I encourage y'all to keep pounding and find something to hold on to for next year. I love every single one of you. It's D from Sanford, North Carolina. C3, keep doing what y'all doing. Greatest podcast, longest Panther podcast out there. I love every single one of y'all to the bottom of my heart.
Love you, D. Appreciate you, man.
Pound.
Man,
keep
thank
pounding.
You. We needed a call like that. I agree 100%. You could have just, instead of, if we put this game in this game film in a time capsule in 20 years ago, it just said Panthers 2023 season in a nutshell. That would have been fine. No offense, Bryce Young getting destroyed, receivers sucking, and a team doesn't even have to do anything to beat you. Next call.
What's up, C3? What do we got to cheer for? The shittiest team ever and the shittiest owner ever. Yeehaw. This is Raleigh, by the way. I don't know if I said it or not. But can it get worse? I think so. Wait till we see who sticks around tomorrow. Well, next year, and who actually, coach-wise, wants to sign with us. Talk to you guys later. Panther fans, keep pounding. I didn't even watch the game today because I knew what was going to happen.
Man, that stinks. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, Panthers Realist one more time. Wanted to point out that since about 80% of Panther Nation has had wet panties for the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud since about mid-year, wanted to explain a little bit about how that happened. That wasn't just D'Amico Ryans walked in, drafted Stroud, and then off they were. They spent 2 years of taking their lumps, building up draft picks, making the correct draft picks. They have a great GM in Nick Caserio. They had all the pieces there ready for Stroud to be successful, including the right coaching staff. Those last two coaching staffs they had when they were taking their lumps, those were literally just 1 year rental coaches. That's like hiring a substitute teacher, guys, for 2 semesters. They didn't plan to have the full-time coach there. They wanted to let other people take those lumps. We need to go just get somebody cheap, if nothing else, make Tabor the head coach for a couple of years. It's not going to matter. We're going to be 2-15, 3-14. Go build up the roster with a good GM. Then we can go and have the number 1 pick. If there's an Arch Manning or somebody out there, who knows? And, let's say 26. Then we can make that jump the Texans made. But that's how we would do it. If C.J. Stroud came here, it'd be the same story. Again, love the podcast. Keep pounding, Panther Nation. It's going to be a long one.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that call, but also kind of it almost is a argument too of opportunity to some degrees. I say Nick Caserio is a great GM. This just 2.5 years ago, they were the oldest roster in the NFL. And you could say maybe that was part of the grand plan, but it didn't look like he had a plan. Is what I do agree with you 100% is that it didn't just happen in one draft. Right, is that a lot of things have been building for this moment to where a coach, this D'Amico Ryans, could come in and C.J. Stroud could come in and then they could have some success. I don't think it happens overnight. I think some of it is a little lucky too, is that because they didn't have this season, all of a sudden Nick Caserio, you have some question marks about it. But I agree with the general sentiment, and also that this is not something that just and I think that's what's been so hard for us as Panther fans to swallow right now, is that we didn't feel like we thought we were in sort of a position to build sooner than later. Like, I'm not saying you just drop Bryce Young in I just thought this team would by default be better than it was the year before.
Yeah.
Regardless of having a rookie quarterback. It wasn't the case. Last 3 calls, they're not all that long.
Yo, it's White Chocolate Express, though. Fuck, thank God this season's over. My God, this was awful. Everything was awful. The trade was awful. I mean, my God, we could have started Matt Corral this whole year, or Andy Dalton, or fucking Sam Darnold, drafted Jordan Addison with DJ Moore, and probably have the same record and having the first overall pick, with the choice to pick whoever we want at quarterback without having to trade fucking draft capital. This is fucking gross and disgusting and like, good God. Like, you gotta build the fucking team. Like, I know Bryce is not the best quarterback ever, but you still gotta build it. Now people are like, I guess in the next 2 years we're gonna have to redraft another quarterback. No! Use every single year Bryce has under his rookie contract to build this team. And if Bryce ain't it by that end of the contract, bye-bye. At least you have a built team. At least you have a sturdy team to go draft a rookie quarterback to come into a good situation and not a shit show. I don't know. I just don't know anymore, honestly. Like, who we get 33? I don't know. Personally, I really don't. I don't know what to do. Draft another tackle, but he can't guard. Hopefully that works. Pray. Cross your fingers. I mean, or just, get offensive lineman free agency and draft a receiver, because the receivers are, they develop faster than offensive linemen. I don't know.
It's sad, man. When
those are my thoughts. What a fucked up year to be a Panther fan. It was definitely interesting with fucking teams sucking, Bryce sucking, even though we traded up all those picks. DJ Moore going off, CMC going off, David Tepper going off throwing drinks at fucking fans.
Yeah, the worst.
We are the Washington Panthers.
Worse.
Yay.
I think this is that if we don't get that GM news, CK, I don't know how we generate any type of optimism, regardless of who you hire or this or that, because I need that GM to come in, the new GM, and give me at least a destination that you're in, a pathway that you're going to try to get there.
And beyond that is we need to have hope that whoever we pick is going to be able to actually draft quality and developmental players that will develop in the later rounds, because we do not have a first round pick. So you're going to have to draft a guy, or hopefully hire a guy who can get that those second, third, fourth. Like the second round hit, we haven't hit a second rounder in like a decade. It just feels like forever. Maybe, Curtis Samuel, when he drafted in second, that might have been the closest. Yeah, and you really can't even say he hit.
Yeah, I agree. No, we have it. The last time we hit a second rounder was KK Short.
By the way, apparently now I'm learning that, when players are leaving the field or coming on the field, normally kids try and reach their hand down for high fives. How about the Panthers security blocks off the railing so that no kids can even get a handshake or a high five from the players, dude? Talk about no fun leagues, huh?
Drinks on them, probably. Last two calls.
Oh, what a year, gentlemen. What a year. Oh, I just thought I'd call in, see if I can petition my Madden franchise to be officially canon. I've never seen such a worse year. But, I think there's more hope than everyone's going to lead on. I mean, there's such mediocrity or whatever you want to call it in the NFL. You can't take a losing team and create a spark. But I agree with you guys. It is not gonna change unless, we really focus on the offensive line. We may not be able to sign, all-stars, but we need to create competition at each position and go with the best setup. If Icky ends up being the best option at left tackle, then so be it. But we can't go into next season, in my opinion, thinking that he's just a shoo-in for left tackle. I agree with Cody. He has to be given a shot at someone else has to be given a shot at left tackle. He might be the shoo-in for left guard. And then you have to look at the receivers. I don't think you really have to look at how many are they going to carry on the roster. So you have Mingo. He's going to be a shoo-in for the most part. You have Thielen if he's around. If not, then you have to have a Thielen type or replacement. You're going to have, I think you should keep Amir Smith-Marset. Who else is over there? So you're kind of looking at, maybe one receiver to kind of come in and compete, maybe two. But I agree with Tony. You kind of have to bring in two offensive line, left tackle capable players who can compete, and then just go into the season with the best possible combination that you can, and help build that culture. I think you also need to kind of bring in a heavier running back and have a little bit more of a power running game, and go from there. But and then most importantly, you need to be able to develop and coach and create a better culture. So you don't have those things, developing, you're not going to be around for very long. And if you don't have great coaching, you're not going to be able to change anything on the fly, because your scheme has to fit what the players that you have and what you're trying to build. And the quickest way to do it, in just my opinion, is, you smash people on the face, and you do that with your offensive line and a power running game, and then you have your play action passes with Bryce Young, and just, go from there.
I agree 100 with that call.
I'm wondering, are you guys going to be
100% agree with that call. Yes, I'm hoping if he said we're going to be around for the off season. Yes, we're here every Tuesday night, live at 9 p.m. Rain, sleet, snow, shine, off season, on season, a lot to talk about. And here is the final call of the 2023 season post game show. 20C3 didn't go the way we anticipated.
Gentlemen, thank you for making it through the worst season in Carolina Panthers history. Garbage. And this owner is an incompetent douchebag, total asshole. And I completely agree with Nervash when he sent the $5 the love bomb that I don't want to retain anyone in the staff or scouting department. Everyone has to go. Fire them all. 100% spot on. So, gentlemen, I appreciate what you do. Thank you for getting through the season. And I must admit, I actually watched more of the C3 podcast than I did of the Carolina Panthers game. I gave up on the team. I just knew that this roster was garbage and played with garbage as coach. But the owner, he's just someone who's a total scumbag. I can't stand the man too. And I tell you what, and I know it's terrible to say this, but if Pepper was ass raped and beaten within an inch of his life, and I knew who did it, I wouldn't say a thing about it. So I know it's terrible to say it. So, gentlemen, I owe you guys an end of year super chat love bomb. So it's coming right up after I play this call. Once again, many thanks for sticking in there through this season. And there's always hope. Just won't come next year or maybe the year after, but eventually the Panthers will get better. We'll have fun again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Appreciate you, brother.
It's a bad season when the final call ends on a discussion of ass rape. Imagine, they say rape is not about sexuality, it's about power. Imagine the power you would feel in a 20 billion.
Man. Dude, I'm just I'm kind of like everyone else. I'm relieved that it's over. We have a lot of questions to answer. Who's the left tackle? Is it Christensen or Ekwonu? Who's going to be the wide receivers? Do we draft one or break the bank in free agency? Is Bryce the quarterback of the future for the Carolina Panthers? Boys, I need everybody to buckle in and pledge your allegiance to the C3 family, because it is going to be a long, dark, and lonely off season. And the only way that we are ever going to get through it is if we band together and make it through this as C3 Panther Nation. That's the only way.
Fantastic. My Tony's Jabroni is the Carolina Panthers 2023 team. If you have a jabroni, you can put up, DJ Chark gets a jabroni for today. And,
mine is David Tepper. You are the biggest jabroni of the entire year for the Carolina Panthers. I believe that you forced a quarterback onto a coach who didn't want him. I believe that you kept a general manager far too long who was never contributing to this team. And I feel like you have given the Panthers fandom the least amount of hope that it has ever had, maybe in its history.
CK, you got a jabroni?
Yeah, it's got to go to Terrace Marshall Jr. His first opportunity coming back to the team, at being active for the first time in half of a season. was an opportunity to try to show other teams what he was capable of doing. And we just continue to see more of the same. He continued to disappoint. He was non-existent in the pass game. And when he was also non-existent in the pass game, he somehow still found a way to make sure that we didn't score a touchdown when we surely did. And so I just want to give him the Jabroni Award.
All right, Tuesday night show is going to be fun. Is going to be a lot to talk about. There will be a lot of guarantee you there's going to be news coming out tomorrow as these coaches getting fired and automatically teams start getting into GM and head coaching searches. The C3 Panthers podcast.
How about this, Tony? Before we go forward more, if there is news tomorrow, I will try my best to do a live show tomorrow. If let's say we get news that Fitterer is fired, I will do my best to do a show so that way we can have some sort of reaction for that, man. Let's hope I am going live.
Yeah. All right. That's the 2020 C3 season. Not the best, but good for the podcast, or strong season for the podcast, bad season for the Carolina Panthers. I'm locking arms with my brothers on this panel and all these people that are listening to chat. We thank you for your time, your attention, your energy, your passion. I hope you have so much passion that you would throw a drink on David Tepper. Cody Lack, love you, love CK. Take us out of here.
C3 Nation, as we bid fare thee well to the 2023 season, we say to all of you, keep pounding.